Hey kids, and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about grief, and I'm going to try to do it with a smile on my face. Grief. That's that thing that makes you feel broken and hurt and gross. That stuff in the pit of your stomach that comes out when you are sad. Well, I want to challenge you guys as we move on to Easter. We're almost there. We're going to be Good Friday next week, the Triduum. And I'm going to challenge you guys to understand what grief can be. Grief can be joy. And the reason it can be joy is because we have to understand why we are grieving. We grieve over a lot of different things. Sometimes it's something financial, sometimes it's something personal, sometimes, and most of the time, it's because of loss. And it's loss of a loved one. And that could be through death, that could be through divorce, that could be through an illness or an ideation. It could be anything. But whenever you lose this person, you are experiencing a loss. Lose, loss. And you start to feel this sense of grief. Perhaps what you're feeling is not necessarily something bubbling up, but perhaps the joy that that person is bringing with them. So what you're feeling is not grief as much as it's the lack of joy. I've spoken about joy before, and it's a very important word. I even named one of my daughters middle names is Joy. Joy is such an important word because it means so much more than happiness. Joy cannot be purchased. Joy cannot just spontaneously show up. It is something that is ingrained in our souls. I believe that God creates us with joy. The joy that He has and the joy that is creation. And every time we commit a sin or we lose someone we love, we lose just a little bit of that joy. We go to church, we do service, we do all kinds of things to help bring that joy back into our souls. And then we lose someone. And let's just talk about losing someone to death, because that's a really tough one. You no longer see that person again. And you know that person is a great person, and they're going to be united with God in heaven. So why do we cry if we are Christians and if we believe that there is a better place? I think we cry because when we lose someone close to us, they have given us so much of their joy through their life. And that joy is within us, and it has kept us going, and it's given us love and peace and given us a way to travel through life. But then when they die, they have to go up and be with the Creator. And when you come from nothing but joy and love, you have to bring that joy and love back to the Creator. And when you die, or when someone you love dies, that joy that they've put in you will leave you. Not because they're for any other reason than they have to be reunited. So our friend or our loved one can be reunited with God. And in that moment, when all that joy pulls out of our souls and goes back to theirs and is reunited with theirs so they could be reunited with God, we have to remember that it is our responsibility to spread that joy so that when we die, that joy can be reunited with us so we can be reunited with God. So don't think about grief as something that's attacking you. Think of it as something that is just pulling the joy out of you. In some instances, in the case of a death, know that those tears are the joy pulling out of your body, going back to the person you love so they can present it before God. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful way to think about what joy really is. And joy is, once again, being in the presence of God. Joy can happen on earth. We can be in the presence of God here on earth. But we have to sit and wait and listen to do that. So as we move into the last week of Lent, we will try to find joy in the sacrifice that Christ made for us and did. And this is it's such a tremendous sacrifice, and it's the climax, guys. It's the climax to the story. And the reason I say that is because in today's scripture, we see the Pharisee challenging Jesus once again and saying, who are you? Who are you? And he admits that he is God. He created Abraham. And the Pharisees were just about to pull up the rocks and throw them at him, and he ran. Jesus tucked around in the temple and took off. So now we know the scripture readings are leading up to the crucifixion. So these are times where Jesus isn't going to be like super out, shouting and stuff. People are looking for him. They are trying to trap him. And this was one of the few times before Passover that they almost had him, because he said, I am. And so he ducked and hid, and he left. We know that the story of Christ's human life doesn't end well. Not for him. But we know the story of his resurrected life in our resurrected church does end well. So now we have to sit back and anticipate the joy that is Easter, to know that Christ will rise again and we can be reunited in joy in the kingdom. So yes, I said I was going to talk about grief today, but you can't talk about grief without the opposite, which is joy. And so I challenge you guys, find more joy in your life. Maybe that's going to church, maybe that's doing a hobby, maybe that's just loving someone more today than you did yesterday. Find joy. Until next time, work hard, be kind, and have fun. Oh, and by the way, if you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button, share, subscribe the video. It really helps our channel grow. And right now we are trying to purchase Starlink, so it's even more important. If you want to make a monetary donation, you can do that down in the description with our Cash App, $BlessedFatherhood. Thanks again. Have a great day.